Hi, thanks. Welcome back to another fault analysis workshop where each week we take a picture, a scenario, a typical fault that your pupil may make, and we analyse it. We go through using a form which you can download. So let me just show you that. You can get this form, it's double-sided, in the description below. I'm going to show you a picture, so I'd like you to have a look at that, and then you look at the picture, you pause the tape video, and you fill out the form and you work your way through the fault to totally analyse it, and hopefully you'll learn something when we get back teaching our pupils. So let's take the picture that we're going to look at today. So what we've got here is our pupil has been asked to pull up behind the white parked car to perform an angle start. So this is something that your pupil may be asked or will be asked to do on their test. So yes, it's near a junction and we should avoid parking near junctions. But on this occasion, the examiner, let's say it was a test, the examiner has made the decision and asked the pupil to pull up behind that white car, leave enough room to get out. Don't worry about the junction on the right. Don't worry about these driveways. Don't worry about these yellow lines. Whatever's going on, the examiner can override that and say, no, I want you here to do this. So they're taking responsibility for putting the pupil there. And when you're doing this on your lessons, you need to take that responsibility to find, okay, safe places. Yes, there's risk when near a junction, but that it would be your job to do that, not your pupils. So you decide, you deem, you risk assess, because that's your responsibility, to find these places to simulate things that they would do on tests. Because we're trying to put them in a dynamic situation. We're trying to put them in a place where there's things going on to make sure they move off safely under control as part of the test. Something you should include in your lessons for sure. So anyway, so yeah, we've got our picture, blue car's moving off, junction to the right, red car moving out, there's a bus behind, there's a cyclist overtaking, that's the thing. So what is the fault? So go into your sheet, what fault have you got? What you should have is section 13 on the DL25, you should have moving off safely. That will be your fault. And if you look at the DT1 document, the reason it's marked there is because it's failure to take effective observations, including the use of signals. The signal's fine, how guys signalling, but effective observations, red car moving out as they've moved, not good enough. So where would we mark it? Is it driver fault? Is it serious? Is it dangerous? Well, because of the red car, we've definitely got to go serious. Depending on how close things get, we could go to dangerous. So it all kind of depends. You have to be there in that situation. So I would suggest on this one, because of the red car and everything, let's say that we're moving, this is going to be dangerous, needs to be sorted out. So, okay, so let's move on to the next section. This is where you would draw it. You don't need to draw it because the picture's provided, but having the skill of drawing scenarios, sketching them out on a pad or using some visual aid or an iPad or whatever you do is a really good technique to sort of get to, the scenario. So you've got it on paper. You and the pupil can look at it, discuss it. It's a visual aid to help you. So always practice having a little draw of situations. They don't have to be neat and tidy, just little boxes of cars and junctions. So anyway, so moving on to the risk. So what is the risk? Okay, so we've already discussed that. We have got the high potential of a collision with the red car. To the next box, intervention. If you were the instructor or the examiner in that car, what level of intervention would you be using there? What you should be doing is verbal initially, stop, wait. Okay, and if they continue to move and put you in increasing danger, then of course physical, onto the foot brake, get the car stopped, so we don't have a dangerous situation with that red car. That would be your responsibility to prevent that. If you did that on your part 3 or a standards check and allowed that to develop, is your intervention timely and appropriate? Well, no, because we nearly had a crash. So you've got to be on it. You've got to be there before that escalates to dangerous. Okay, we're not actually there to put other people in actual danger. Okay, so that's really important. So over the page where we're going to look at the analysis, again, this is where we're going to look at the possible reasons. Why did your pupil make this mistake? What was going on in their head? And the list could be endless. And I want to share with you the sort of 5 skills with driving, which I'll put up on the screen. So basically, you can pigeonhole any kind of fault analysis into one of these categories. So it's either going to be a car control issue, it's either going to be an awareness issue, an anticipation issue, they didn't know what other people were going to do, a planning issue, i.e. what they did, or it's a judgment issue. So sorry, just my iPad's gone off. Let me just get back to the picture. Otherwise I won't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we can pigeonhole the reasons why people do the things they do into one of these 5 key skills. So what is it? Is it, they're being assessed here for their car control to move off slowly at an angle on the bike and steer at the same time. So that coordination of controls. In the picture, it looks like they're doing that fine. Doesn't look like they're going to hit the white car. So I think we can skip past that one. Awareness could be this. Were they aware of the red car coming out on the right, emerging? That's something we need to find out. Is it an anticipation issue? Did they see the red car behind the giveaway lines and think, well, hang on a minute. I'm in the main road. I've got priority. I'm anticipating they will wait for me. I've got a signal and they're going to wait. I can go, surely. So it could be, that could be the root cause, that they're thinking, yeah, I saw him, but I was going to go anyway. A planning thing. Yeah, they've planned that they're going to go. Judgment. Maybe they saw the red car move and thought, well, I've got time anyway. I've misjudged how close he was. Maybe I saw a little glimpse of him in my convex mirror and it looks further than it really is. And I've misjudged distance because I didn't check my blind spot, for example. So these are the things we need to sort of think about and explore with our pupil to get a good list, open our minds, lots of reasons as to why, whether they're distracted, what was going on. They're distracted, it's an awareness issue because they didn't know that red car was there, for example. So let's pick one of them. Let's say that the pupil here just wasn't aware of the red car being there. And let's run with that. So let's get into the remedial action. So yes, a pupil didn't see the red car. So I'd have a bit of an explanation as to what routine we should be following when we move on. So I'd be looking at revisiting the POM routine, especially with an emphasis on the observations, the all-round effective observations. I'd want to delve into zones of vision using, maybe use a visual aid of the mirrors, where the mirrors see where we were positioned. And remember, as we change the angle, those mirrors change where they're looking as well. Think about the blind spots, where the blind spots sit. So this is what I'd want to explore with my pupil and do a bit of education, a bit of explanation. So think about POM, think about blind spots, zones of vision in their mirrors, convex glass. Did they get that? Yeah. So we'd be talking about that. We'd talk about the possible risks of it, and then we'd go practice. So we'd continue to do that, and I'd want to find some more dynamic situations where they can do angle starts with junctions nearby to the right, or maybe start with some easier ones first, just to get them the technique and get them in the habit of looking with some instruction, with some guidance from me, moving up to more dynamic where there's more hazards near junctions to sort of build it in levels rather than throwing back into the deep end. So that would be done by agreement with the pupil, by discussing how they feel, how confident they feel, what the level of how confident they feel, what the level of challenge should be on it, and then we'd go and do it. We'd go practice and do it. Questions. So this is the last box on the form. The questions. These are the sort of questions I would be asking after the event. So they've done it. I've intervened. We've driven off. and I will find somewhere safe, convenient, legal. I wouldn't ask them to do that because they're still in the sort of red mist zone. They've just made a mistake. We've taken control. So I will stay in control and ask them where to pull up that I deem is safe, that we can have this conversation, rather than giving that job to the pupil. Because what if they make another mistake and pull up in a bad spot? And like, it sort of starts to snowball then. So I would find the location that we could go and ask these questions, get the wheels stopped and have a chat. I've prepared some questions here, and I'll probably put these up on the screen as well, just as I go through them. So this is just an example based on their lack of awareness. So if we're trying to get to the root cause of this problem, and we've got to, it's an awareness problem. And this would be an example of the line of questions I'd be asking. So me as the instructor, do you understand why I asked you to wait back there? Pupil, yes, there was a red car pulling out of the junction. Oh, okay, so he was aware. Okay, instructor, I would say, did you see them before you started to move away? Emphasis on before. So before you started to move, did you see the red car? And if they say, well, no, not at that point. Okay, so I would say back to them, okay, where did you look? And if they say, well, yeah, I checked in my mirrors. Okay, where else should you look? So they've not checked the blind spot. So I'm digging into that. They're not aware because they didn't check the blind spot. So yeah, where else should they look? And the pupil would say, well, my blind spot. So okay, so they've got understanding of what blind spot is. What routine can help you remember to move off safely every time? Have they got knowledge of the POM routine? Oh yeah, I know I'd use my POM routine. Oh good, so I could give them a bit of a compliment. Good, so you're aware of the POM routine. Okay, so you're aware of the POM routine. So who's responsible for making effective observations every time we move off? And hopefully your pupil's going to say, well, me? Yes, I agree. Good, yeah, so it is your responsibility. Do you understand the potential risks if you fail to do that every single time? Oh yeah, because I can miss like a red car or a bicycle in my blind spot. Exactly. So moving forwards, how are we going to sort this out? So this is where we're going to talk to how we're going to do it. So we practice more, blah, 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 and have that conversation. So that's just an example of the sort of questions you could ask using the what, where, why, how types of questions, open questions, to sort of dig deep into the pupil's mind as to why they did things, check understanding as you're going, fill in the gaps of things they don't know. And yeah, and arrive at a solution together. That's the thing, doing it together. They've got some, they've bought into it then because they've come up with the solution with you. And then we can go practice. Okay, so that concludes this video for this fault. As always, if you like the content, just please give it a little like. That really helps. For future content, subscribe, and please comment, because comments are really good because you might disagree with something. You've got your own experiences, put them in there because other people are looking at these, they can share, have discussions. And suggest what kind of faults you'd like me to cover next, and I'd be happy to do that. So until the next video, I'll see you then.